Buckle up, Falcons faithful, because Atlanta's quarterback room just turned into the most chaotic soap opera in the NFL. A former Pro Bowl passer is dropping snaps like they're hot coals. A former first-round pick is sitting on the sideline like a coiled spring waiting to strike. And the front office just made a splashy veteran addition that has everybody whispering the same nervous question: have we seen this movie before? Grab your popcorn, because this is Falcons football at its most dramatic, and we are breaking down every single angle. Let's start with the fire that's currently burning a hole through the Atlanta quarterback depth chart. Tua's turnover trouble has everyone talking. If you've been anywhere near Falcons social media this week, you already know the vibes are not good. The team's big offseason acquisition at quarterback has been struggling, and we're not talking about minor hiccups. We're talking about fumbled shotgun snaps. In practice, as a veteran with nearly a decade of NFL experience and playoff starts under his belt, that's the kind of mistake you expect from a rookie in his very first training camp rep, not from a guy who has been running NFL offenses since before some of his current teammates were even drafted. And it didn't stop there. In one particularly rough sequence, he was bailed out by a spectacular, high-difficulty catch from his star wide receiver, who had to reach back and rip the ball away from what looked like a certain interception. Great news for the receiver's highlight reel. Not great news for the quarterback who put the ball in danger in the first place. Then, just a little later in that same session, lightning struck twice. Another pass sailed the wrong way, got picked off, and went the distance for a defensive score. Two dangerous throws, one lucky escape, one costly turnover, all in the same practice. So what's actually going on here? Is it rust? Is it a scheme mismatch? Is it something deeper? The prevailing theory floating around Atlanta right now is that this isn't really about arm talent or physical tools at all. It's mental. When a veteran who has genuinely succeeded at this level starts making beginner-level mistakes, especially early in a game or practice when the pressure should be lowest, it points to focus and confidence issues rather than a lack of ability. And here's the thing about mental hiccups in professional sports: they tend to snowball. One shaky rep leads to hesitation on the next one, hesitation leads to more mistakes, and pretty soon a quarterback who has genuine NFL pedigree starts looking like he's playing scared instead of playing free. There's also a real scheme question hovering over all of this. For years, this quarterback thrived in a system that was specifically built around his particular strengths, one that hid his weaknesses and let him play fast and instinctive. Now he's adjusting to a completely different offensive philosophy, with a new coaching staff, new terminology, and new expectations. Adjusting to a new system is hard enough for anybody. Adjusting to it while trying to prove you still belong as a starting caliber quarterback, that's a pressure cooker. Here's the brutal truth Falcons fans are grappling with. The standard for this player is simply higher than it would be for a young, unproven arm. If a rookie or a second-year passer bobbles a snap or throws an ill-advised pick, fans shrug it off as part of the learning curve. But when it's a proven veteran who has started somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 career games, there is no learning curve excuse available. Every mistake gets magnified. Every eyebrow raises a little higher. And the whispers about whether this is simply who he is now, rather than a small early camp blip, keep getting louder. Some analysts have gone as far as to suggest that what we are witnessing isn't a temporary rough patch at all, but rather the continuation of a decline that was already visible last season. The argument goes like this. Coming into this year, the hope wasn't necessarily spectacular quarterback play, it was stability. A guy who wouldn't dazzle you but also wouldn't put the ball on the ground or throw back breaking interceptions. And right now, in the most crucial evaluation window of the preseason, stability is exactly what's missing. Which brings us to the second half of this quarterback drama, and it might just be the most anticipated storyline of the entire Falcons offseason. The Penix countdown is on while one quarterback is stumbling, another one is getting closer and closer to finally stepping back onto the field, and Falcons fans everywhere have their eyes locked on the calendar. The team's young, talented passer has been sidelined recovering from a knee surgery that happened last November, and the recovery has been handled with an almost obsessive level of caution by the coaching staff. Mark this date down, the coming Tuesday is being treated as a potential turning point. Why? Because it lines up almost exactly 9 months to the day since that knee surgery, and because earlier comments from has been quietly maximizing every non-contact opportunity to prepare him, running him through 7-on-7 drills. And according to some sharp-eyed observers, possibly even sneaking in more structured work than the team has officially let on. Let's just say some folks watching practice noticed more bodies on that field during those 7-on-7 sessions than the name would suggest. Make of that what you will. All while continuing what's been described as his ongoing evaluation period before any final decisions are made about who takes the reins as the starter for the regular season opener. For a fan base that has watched this young quarterback dazzle in limited flashes during 7-on-7 work, but has yet to see him truly let loose in a live, physical setting, the anticipation is almost unbearable. And with the incumbent starter currently struggling to hang on to the football, the pressure and the intrigue around this timeline have never been higher. Every fumbled snap from the veteran only turns up the volume on the fans' chant that immediately triggered flashbacks for longtime fans. The team brought in a well-traveled, accomplished veteran edge rusher, and if you followed this franchise for more than a couple of years, your brain probably did an automatic time jump back to a similar move the Falcons made roughly 2 years ago, almost to the exact week, when they brought in another established veteran pass rusher to try to jumpstart a struggling unit. That previous experiment, to put it gently, did not exactly set the league on fire. So naturally, the question on everyone's mind is, are we watching the same movie play out twice, or is this time genuinely different? According to those close to the team, there's real reason for optimism, and it comes down to a few key differences. First, and maybe most importantly, this new addition isn't walking into a room that's completely empty. 2 years ago, the previous move happened out of desperation. There was essentially nobody else on the roster capable of getting after the quarterback, so the team had no choice but to lean entirely on one aging veteran to be the entire pass rush. This time around, there are actual bodies in that room already. Multiple players on shorter-term deals, a talented but as yet unproven core, and now this accomplished veteran added to the mix. Instead of needing to be the guy, he's being brought in as one of several pieces, all competing and complementing each other, with the hope that if even 2 of these players can combine for 4 or 5 sacks apiece, that's a real win for the unit as a whole. Second, there's a stylistic difference that has evaluators genuinely excited. The previous veteran addition was often praised as a great cleanup pass rusher, a guy who benefited enormously from playing alongside other elite rushers who forced the quarterback to scramble directly into his arms. That's an incredibly valuable skill in the right context. But transplanted into a different environment without that same level of complementary pressure, those cleanup opportunities simply dried up. This new addition, by contrast, is viewed as more of a pure, disruptive pass rusher in his own right, somebody who can consistently threaten the pocket even without a running mate doing the heavy lifting elsewhere on the line. There's also something to be said about how different types of physical tools age in this league. Speed rushers tend to lose a step as the years pile up, and once that explosiveness fades, it can fade fast. Power rushers, on the other hand, tend to age more gracefully. When your game is built around bull rushing an offensive lineman backward into the quarterback's lap, that kind of strength doesn't disappear overnight, even well into your 30s. And make no mistake, this new addition is squarely in the well into his 30s category. He's not the dominant double-digit sack force he was a few seasons back at the peak of his powers, but there's real belief that he can still consistently get home often enough to matter, especially in a complementary role rather than as the lone focal point of an entire pass rush. Is this a desperate win now, championship or bust type of move, though? According to those in the know, not really, at least not in the truest sense of that phrase. A genuine win now, all-in move is the kind of thing you see from a team that believes it's a real Super Bowl contender, bringing in star-caliber talent specifically because the front office believes the current roster is one piece away from a championship. That's not exactly the vibe here. Instead, this addition reads more like a necessary practical roster fix, with significant proven production walking out the door from the pass rush room this offseason. The front office needed to bring in someone who has actually proven he can get after the quarterback at a high level, not just a project or a maybe he pans out type flyer. It's about filling an obvious hole with a proven veteran rather than making a flashy championship-chasing splash, but that doesn't make it any less important for a defense that desperately needs juice off the edge. Who to watch this Saturday with the marquee names likely to sit out most of this weekend's preseason action? The real intrigue shifts to the next wave of players fighting for roster spots and increased opportunity. At the very top of the watch list is a rookie offensive lineman who had a rough professional debut last time out. Everyone around the team is hoping to see a bounce-back performance, because how a young player responds after a shaky first outing tells you a whole lot about their makeup. Struggle again, and it raises real red flags. Show real improvement, hold your ground, open up running lanes, and give the quarterback time in the pocket. And suddenly, you've got a legitimate story of growth heading into the regular season. Also firmly on the radar is an explosive rookie wide receiver who didn't get much of a chance to show off his full route tree last time out, largely because of the shaky quarterback play around him. This weekend presents a golden opportunity to see him line up outside, run a fuller route package, and show some real versatility in what he can do as a receiving weapon beyond just the gadget play reputation he built coming out of college. Then there's the ongoing linebacker competition, which has quietly become one of the most fascinating subplots of this entire training camp. Several players are all jockeying for playing time, but the name generating the most buzz is a rookie out of a big-name program whose tape and early camp reports have people legitimately excited. There's real belief growing that this rookie could push a more established veteran right out of the starting lineup entirely, and rather than being seen as a controversial or awkward situation. Most people around the team view that as a genuinely exciting problem to have. When a defensive coordinator has a very specific vision for what he wants his defense to look like, and a young player's skill set matches that vision perfectly, production tends to follow. Watching this rookie carve out playing time, potentially alongside another athletic, rangy linebacker, could be one of the most encouraging developments of the entire preseason. And don't sleep on some of the depth pieces further down the roster either. There are a handful of role players who have quietly turned heads recently, guys who entered the league without much fanfare but have shown flashes of being real difference makers on special teams or in a limited role. This weekend is exactly the kind of stage where a player like that can either cement his spot on the 53-man roster or fade back into obscurity. Every single rep matters for these bubble guys, and that's precisely what makes the lower-profile portions of preseason football so genuinely fun to watch if you know where to look. The bottom line, so here's where the Falcons stand heading into this pivotal stretch of the preseason. A veteran quarterback under enormous pressure to prove he still belongs. A electrifying young passer whose long-awaited return might be just days away. A fresh pass rush addition carrying the weight of history and high expectations. And a roster full of hungry young players all fighting for their NFL futures. It's a lot. It's dramatic. It's exactly the kind of storyline that makes this franchise must-watch television heading into the regular season. Will the veteran quarterback settle down and rediscover the form that made him a success earlier in his career? Will the countdown to the young passer's return finally hit zero? And will he look every bit as electric in live action as he has in those limited 7-on-7 glimpses? Will this new pass rush addition finally give Atlanta the complementary edge presence it's been missing for years? All of these questions are on the verge of getting real answers, and none of us can afford to look away. If this breakdown got you fired up, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. Drop a comment down below and let us know who you think should be starting under center for Atlanta. Once that young quarterback gets the green light, we want to hear your hot takes. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this quarterback battle is only going to get more intense, and you do not want to miss a single update. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the very next one.